Coming up on WFT Midday, a man suspected of an armed robbery shot and killed after violent manhunt in Suwannee County.
Nearly 2 million federal workers face deadline for buyout offers as judge delays decision until Monday.
A live look over the Superdome Arena in New Orleans, where we are just 3 days away from the 59th Super Bowl kickoff. WFT Midday starts now.
You're watching WUFT Midday.
The suspect that killed 2 people in robbery in Gadsden County and shot and killed a deputy in Suwannee County was shot and killed. This is WFT Midday. I am Oriana Torre.
And I am Sofia Mendez. Deputies from the Suwannee County Sheriff's Office confirmed a person matching the description of the suspect has been killed and said they are working to verify the person's identity. Here's a breakdown of what we know. A man suspected of shooting 4 people during an armed robbery in Gadsden County and killing 2 victims was shot and killed after a manhunt in Suwannee County. The suspect's vehicle was pursued early Friday morning, following a hit on a license plate reader linked to a homicide. During the chase, the suspect fired at law enforcement, eventually crashing the vehicle and shooting a deputy in the foot and vest, though the deputy is expected to recover. After fleeing on foot, the suspect was found dead, though his identity has not yet been confirmed. Schools in the area were placed on lockdown, but the situation was resolved by late morning. We will have the updates and the full report for you at 5. Nearly 2 million U.S. federal employees now have until Monday to decide on a buyout offer from the Trump administration, which aims to reduce staffing for U.S. aid projects and dismantle the U.S. Agency for International Development. A federal judge in Massachusetts temporarily blocked the buyouts, extending the decision deadline to allow for a hearing, adding uncertainty for employees. CNN's Cheryl Hubbard has the latest.
Federal employees offered a deferred resignation package were supposed to decide by 11:59 p.m. Thursday if they would accept it. But Thursday afternoon, a federal judge paused the deadline.
They're making it sound like federal workers are going to be put on administrative leave and paid till the end of September. There's no guarantee of that.
Several unions filed a lawsuit seeking a temporary restraining order to pause the deadline, questioning the ability of the Trump administration to follow through on its promises and the offer's legality. Federal unions have strongly urged members not to accept the package. The White House is advocating the opposite.
Is going to save the American people tens of millions of dollars, and we encourage federal workers in this city to accept the very generous offer.
The buyout offer would allow workers to quit now and get paid through September 30th. It's the Trump administration's sweeping effort to shrink the size of the federal workforce. Opponents fear that essential employees who do not accept could be let go.
Keeping our military ready, caring for our veterans, guaranteeing our homeland security, clean air, clean water, safe borders, all of those things, and they do it at great efficiency to the American people.
I'm Cheryl Hubbard reporting.
Rescue teams in Alaska are searching for a plane with 10 people on board that went missing Thursday afternoon. A Bering Air caravan carrying 9 passengers and a pilot was reported overdue around 4 p.m. local time while en route from Unalachit to Nome. State troopers and search crews are working to locate the plane's last known coordinates. This marks the 3rd major U.S. aviation incident in just 8 days. Following a deadly crash near Washington, D.C. and a medical plane crash in Philadelphia. The pilot had planned to enter a holding pattern before landing, and a Coast Guard rescue aircraft is now searching 12 miles offshore from Nome near Northern Sound.
It's been warmer than average this first week of February.
The past 3 days have all been above 80 degrees here in Gainesville. WFT Nicole Borman joins us now with more on this warm streak.
That's right, guys. Even though those temperatures are getting warmer, so is the fog in our area. Right now, we're seeing the visibility is looking pretty nice right now, but as our afternoon continues on today, we could be seeing that fog take over north central Florida. But as it continues on into the Saturday afternoon and into the earlier parts of Saturday morning, it could all clear up as the hit Broadway show Annie said the sun will come out tomorrow. With Saturday and with that warmer weather, we're seeing Gainesville having 79, Ocala at 80, and Village is in 81, Cedar Key's seeing 67 right now, but that's because of the temperatures next to the water. But as those temperatures are high right now, they are going to go down just a little bit later on into the afternoon. But right now, we're seeing those clouds, we're seeing that warmer weather, and I'll tell you more about that fog later and what this warm weather is going to look like for the rest of the week.
The first flight carrying migrants to Guantanamo Bay landed Tuesday evening, marking a controversial step in the Trump administration's push to tighten immigration policies. The C-17 plane, which took off from El Paso, was carrying 10 migrants, including suspected members of the Venezuelan gang Tren de Aragua. The flight touched down at 7:20 p.m. ET, and while these migrants won't be held with current detainees at Guantanamo, Immigration and Customs Enforcement will be responsible for their custody. President Trump signed an executive order last week to expand the migrant operations center at Guantanamo Bay, saying there's plenty of space to house migrants without legal status. He also mentioned we have some bad ones too, and we'd like to get them out.
Ahead of Super Bowl 59 in New Orleans, security has been significantly heightened following a deadly terrorist attack on Bourbon Street on New Year's Day. An enhanced security zone with back checks, steel barriers, barricades, and 2,000 law enforcement officers, including drones and National Guard troops, will ensure safety, especially with President Trump in attendance. NBC's Kendall Duncan breaks down the security measures in place.
I don't know of any city right now with this level of infrastructure, with the exception of New York.
As around 2,000 local, state, and federal law enforcement partners roll out tight security restrictions ahead of Super Bowl 59 on Sunday, Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick is reminding everyone how they can do their part if they plan to participate.
People will be extremely unwise to bring a firearm into our hospitality areas, and that's the French Quarter primarily, the convention area. Don't do it.
Coolers are banned and small bag guidelines have also been implemented in enhanced security zones. Drones are prohibited in the downtown area in the days leading up to the event and on the day of the game. And with President Donald Trump announcing his attendance to the Super Bowl, security is heightened even more.
And the impacts of that will be that we will have to shut down some additional streets a little longer in order to provide a safe corridor for him.
I can tell you that some of it will be intermediate closures towards the dome. The impact of the dome will just be outstretched.
And although short-term security hardening is activated, leaders are still focusing on long-term security measures.
All of the barrier systems you see here, for the most part, will leave after Mardi Gras. And so we're looking not only at the short game, which is now in play, and short game is the Super Bowl and Mardi Gras. But now we got to look at the long game.
In other sporting news, on National Women in Sports Day, President Trump signed an executive order banning transgender women and girls from competing in female sports. This is the fourth order directly targeting transgender people since he took office on January 20th. The order, called the No Men in Women's Sport Executive Order, aims to prevent transgender women from stealing victories from cisgender women. As Trump has claimed, the NCAA immediately followed suit on Thursday, issuing a new policy that bans transgender women from competing in women's sports, basing the eligibility on the sex assigned at birth. The decision marks another significant step in the ongoing debate over transgender rights in athletics.
Florida women's volleyball coach Mary Wise announced her retirement Thursday after 34 years and nearly 1,000 wins at Florida, making her the fourth winning guest coach in SEC Division I history. Under her leadership, Florida made the Final Four 8 times, including 2 runner-up finishes, and won 25 SEC championships, the most in league history. In a statement, Wise said, "There was never going to be an easy time to walk away. But after 43 years in coaching, she is excited to see the sport from a new perspective." A man and woman from South Florida are behind bars after high-speed chase from Columbia County to Alachua County early Tuesday morning. State troopers had to perform multiple pit maneuvers to stop 51-year-old Demi Patterson and 43-year-old Kishana Johnson, both from Miami. During the pursuit on I-75, troopers discovered over 1,000 grams of marijuana, prescription pills, and other drugs in their vehicle. Both suspects are now facing charges and are being held at the Alachua County Jail.
It's been a chilly and foggy start to your morning for much of the work week, and today was no different. Taking a live look outside on our dog cam, this is I-75 over Paynes Prairie, where it's warming up quickly and shaping up to be another beautiful day in north central Florida. There's only light traffic heading toward Gainesville and Ocala. You shouldn't see any impact on lunchtime commute.
That's right, guys. Those clouds and that fog is here for a bit, but that warm temperature is definitely here to stay. Temperatures right now sitting in those mid to lower 70s with those clouds over Century Tower and over the stadium, with those winds coming in from the west and from the south, giving us those warmer temperatures that we love to see. And we're seeing as the temperatures might be dropping a little bit into our afternoon. We're seeing it start off in the afternoon into those upper 70s, dropping down to those lower 60s. So if you plan hitting the town tonight, be sure to bring a jacket. Just maybe. Might be a little bit chilly. But as those temperatures continue to rise throughout the rest of the day, we're seeing Gainesville having 79, Ocala at 80, and Villages at 81. We're seeing back into those 80s, and this is happening from this low and stationary front coming out from the south and from the west. We're seeing up here, you're seeing those lighter blue areas. That I'll touch on that in a bit, but those colder temperatures are supposed to be staying up there while we keep the warm temperature right down here. Now here's a better look at that, seeing as that polar stream comes in from the north, pulling out from Canada up to that upper states of the United States, and to the subtropical stream coming out from the west, hitting us here over into the south and onto the east coast, keeping that warm temperature right where we want to have it, right here. Now, as the day continues to go on, we're seeing as those temperatures might drop a little bit into our afternoon. We're seeing those mid to lower 70s up into 6 p.m. and then lower into midnight going into tomorrow morning. We're seeing those upper 50s, but for the rest of the afternoon, it should be pretty warm. But with that warmer temperature, we are getting a bit of fog. We're seeing that visibility continue to decrease all throughout the rest of the day, coming out from tonight into tomorrow morning. We're seeing as that fog continues, but then right into the afternoon and a little bit towards noonish, we're going to be seeing as that fog completely goes away, ready for the sun, maybe go out and tan. You know, it's going to be a nice weekend. We're seeing as those temperatures, and that dew point right now is getting a little bit lower, but it's kind of correlating with the temperatures we're having at the moment. So if we're seeing those lows right now in those lower to mid 50s, kind of correlating with that dew point, which is giving us all that fog. Here's a better look of that right here. We're seeing as that dew point continues to match up with those temperatures. We're going to be getting a bit of that fog tonight and tomorrow. So if you're going to be driving, consider to have your high beams on just to be safe and keep everyone around you safe. Now, those temperatures for our weekend are looking pretty nice. We're seeing those 80s right now, best for the Super Bowl on Sunday. But yeah, for the 7-day outlook, we're seeing as those temperatures stay pretty consistent in those 80s throughout the rest of the week. The lows are staying pretty consistent in the 50s and maybe a little bit in the 60s, but have fun on your Super Bowl Sunday and be aware of that rain maybe on Thursday.
A bipartisan group of U.S. lawmakers is pushing ban to the Chinese AI app DeepSeek from federal devices, following concerns that the app can capture login information and share it with China's largest state-owned.
Watching football is supposed to be fun, a healthy distraction from stressors in our lives, until it isn't.
Big games can be fun to watch, but also extremely stressful, and that's a pretty common occurrence.
Clinical psychologist Adam Borman with Cleveland Clinic says the sense of connection some have to their team can actually provoke anxiety, especially when the game's not going their way. It can take a toll on a fan's mental health.
And we may lose focus in terms of what it is. And it's a game, right? And it's something that hopefully we can share with friends and family.
If the Super Bowl is stressing you out, Borland says take a temporary time out because those feelings can impact your mood and your relationships with others.
Maybe go watch the game in a quieter room. Maybe go outside and take a walk. That's okay. In fact, that's encouraged, because then we can kind of be a better version of ourselves and actually enjoy the experience.
Practicing mindfulness, deep breathing, and positive self-talk can also help. Borland says for some fans, a team's loss can feel overwhelming.
That's why it's really important to maintain communication with one's support system and to really process, you know, yes, this was just a game, but it's really triggering other negative feelings that I might be experiencing.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Borman says it's also important to limit or avoid alcohol during the Super Bowl, especially if you tend to get worked up during the game. And he says if anxiety or stress are impacting daily life, it might be time to talk to a mental health professional.
If you're hosting a big party for the game this year, you can budget about the same as last year for store-bought food and drinks. According to Wells Fargo report, if you're feeding 10 people, a spread of chicken wings, guacamole, chips, and beer, it will cost you about $139. That's just 10 cents more than last year's price. The cost of the beer and some food items have gone up, but the cost of others have gone down, which almost balances out the total.
Amazon could be on its way to becoming the world's largest retailer. For the first, it beat out major retailer Walmart in revenue. This quarter, Amazon is expected to report $187 billion in sales. Walmart is forecast to bring in $7 billion less. Still, most analysts measure revenue on an annual basis, and Walmart is expected to hit nearly $700 billion for last year. Amazon is forecast to come in short of that at $638 billion. That's still a big win for Amazon because it marks the first time the company will surpass $600 billion. Now couples can say "I do" while chowing down on Chalupa's Taco Bell Cantina is helping lovebirds tie the knot with a wedding package at its location on the Las Vegas Strip. A wedding chapel is on the second floor of the Vegas fast food restaurant location. Taco Bell's chapel features an Elvis-efficient Vegas showgirls and a sauce packet bouquet. Of course, tacos are also included in the $777 price. After the ceremony, a quick reception is held in a private area of the restaurant for the couple and up to 25 guests. Taco Bell weddings can be booked same date with at least 4 hours notice. Now let's head over to our Noticias partners for a look at today's top stories for our Spanish language audience.
Hola, soy Marina Meretz con tus noticias en 90 segundos. La administración del presidente Donald Trump confiscó un segundo avión perteneciente al gobierno del presidente venezolano Nicolás Maduro. El jueves 6 de febrero, Marco Rubio, el secretario de Estado de los Estados Unidos, observó cómo la orden de actuación fue colocada en el avión durante su visita a Santo Domingo, su última parada de su gira de 5 naciones de América Latina. Rubio firmó una extensión a la congelación de fondos que el presidente Trump impuso en la ayuda extranjera designada a la República Dominicana para seguir combatiendo la migración haitiana. Personas alrededor de los Estados Unidos se unieron en protesta a la administración del presidente Trump. La protesta se congregó bajo la etiqueta Build the Resistance o Cree la Resistencia, siendo una de las tantas desde la inauguración del presidente Trump y en contra de sus acciones ejecutivas, y resaltado en la lema 50 estados, 50 protestas en un día. Muchas de las pancartas tienen mensajes sobre la eliminación de diversidad, equidad e inclusión, la deportación de los inmigrantes y la legislación contra la comunidad de LGBTQ+. La influencia aviar se ha expandido por todos los Estados Unidos, causando que los precios del huevo se disparen y la disponibilidad se desplome. En los últimos 30 días se confirmó que 125 aves dieron positivo para la influenza aviar, según el Servicio de Inspección de Sanidad Animal de Vegetal del Departamento de Agricultura, o USDA, por sus siglas en inglés. La única forma de prevenir que los virus se transmitan más es despoblando a todas las aves, lo que causa un aumento del precio de los huevos. Como resultado, Waffle House y varios restaurantes han implementado un aumento de 50 centavos por todos los huevos en su menú. Esas fueron su noticia en 90 segundos. Gracias por sintonizarnos.
Now let's get over to WFT First at 5 anchor Mar Roaches with a look at what's coming up on the First at 5 on Channel 5.
Coming up on First at 5, a shooting, a protest, and an ordinance. First, a closer look at a shooting in Suwannee County. And groups gather this morning at Representative Kat Cammack's Gainesville office for a protest. Plus, how the city of Gainesville responds to Governor Ron DeSantis' homeless ordinances. All that and more at 5.